Hello and welcome to WRAP Live with Ashley Hickson-Lovence. A really warm welcome to you, whether you're currently in Nottinghamshire, beyond, perhaps in one of our fellow UNESCO cities of literature, or indeed on your last evening of shielding. Thank you very much for joining us. I'm your host for this evening and I'll be keeping things moving with the help of the team here at Metronome. I can see them. Hello. Up in the box. Yes, thank you. My name's Becky Cullen. I'm an English lecturer, a poet and the WRAP programme manager, and I'm here to let you know what to expect and when to expect it. This event is co-hosted by Nottingham Trent University, curated and created programme and Nottingham Creative Writing Hub, of which I'm a member. Nottingham Creative Writing Hub is hosted by the Department of English, Philosophy and Communications. On our website, you'll find links to NTU's well-respected undergraduate and postgraduate courses, member profiles, a blog and information about forthcoming events. Nottingham Trent University also celebrates extracurricular creativity, and since October our WRAP programme has engaged over 700 students in reading and writing events, book giveaways, workshops and book clubs with the support of a fabulous team of student ambassadors. You can see one of them there on the picture. Hello, Menashe. This term, we've collaborated across the student body with student-led takeovers by the Faith team and by Platform Magazine and NTSU Pride Society for LGBT History Month. WRAP participants launched an online poetry anthology, The Story of Us, which has been enjoyed by readers across the UNESCO Cities of Literature network. We're also looking at how we can engage staff in reading, writing and pleasure. Last week, our staff book club network met for the first time. So, if you're a student or a member of staff and want to know more, take a look at the Virtual Arts Centre on MS Teams, where you can find all our WRAP events, as well as what's happening with music, Bonington Gallery and Metronome. So that's who we are, what we're doing and why we're doing it. Let's move on to why you're here. Ashley Hickson-Lovence is author of The 392, a novel set entirely on a 36-minute bus journey through London. The novel opens dialogues about race, gender and class and the manifestations of judgment and fear. A former secondary teacher with an interest in getting young people to read, Ashley wrote his first draft on his iPhone during bus journeys to and from school. It is, he says, a book he wrote for his pupils to read in the future. Ashley is currently in the final stages of a PhD in creative writing at UEA, writing a novel about the first black top-flight referee, Uriah Rennie, titled Your Show. So with the generous support of NTU's Success for All programme, we've distributed over 250 copies of the 392, as well as holding a giveaway competition. And Ashley's joined us at a book club, he's performed at a WRAP cafe, and he's also led a really fabulous writing masterclass. So it gives me great pleasure to introduce you to our WRAP featured writer this term, Ashley Hickson-Lovence. And here he is, and the crowd goes wild. Woo! Hi, Ashley.
How are you doing? You okay?
I'm all right, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, good. I wish you somehow managed to give out 392 copies of the 390.
I know. Well, we're working on it. We've still got some codes for our bursary students. So yeah, we're working on it.
Make it happen. Make it happen.
So Ashley, just to start off then, what's it been like working with us?
It's been a journey.
Yeah,
no,
a bus journey.
It's been a bus journey. No, it's been fantastic. It really, really, really has. I love what you guys are doing. I don't think that creative writing should be an exclusive, sort of genre of study in selected universities. I think it should be as widely open as possible in as many institutes as possible. And the fact you're doing it with so much vigor and you're doing it so holistically, you're not just doing it for students, you're doing it for staff, you're doing it for the wider community and the local libraries and local and school and whatever. It's so great, and to be part of that has been really fantastic. And obviously I'm following in the footsteps of Derek Owusu, who was the lead writer last term, I believe, for WRAP.
He was.
So I'm following in really great footsteps, and yeah, I just feel really honoured, to be honest. I really do. Like my little story, which, you know, like you said in the introduction, was mainly written on my iPhone on my way to work. Now in the hands of people all over the country, namely Nottingham. So yeah, I'm really chuffed and I'm really honoured.
Well, you keep saying my little story, but it's a really, as we shall find out this evening, it's a small book which packs a punch. It's got a really broad scope. So I'm looking forward to introducing people to it this evening. If they haven't come across it yet, you know, you'll have some more readers on the way. We'll get there with the 392. We'll go far beyond the 392 for the 392. So you're going to read an extract for us. But before then, perhaps you want to give an overview of what the 392 is about. What's it, you know, in a nutshell, how would you describe it? It's an elevator pitch, Ashley. Go ahead.
God, elevator pitches are hard, aren't they?
Yeah, really hard, yeah.
It is a novel which takes place over 36 minutes on a London bus. It's told from different passengers' perspectives and the driver herself, as a suspected terrorist gets on, loiters at the front, looks rather suspicious based on his appearance and his mannerisms. And it's about how those members within the bus are microcosmic of society and how we might respond to people who look different and act different and come from different places. And how do we respond to that as passengers on a bus, but also members in society? And I suppose that incessant threat or that incessant sort of fear is pertinent in the novel. There's a bit of a twist at the end. I'm sure we'll talk about this a bit later, but you know, I didn't really plan the 392 in any great detail, but the ending needed some tweaking to get it right, because there are so many characters and it's such a very, like I said, a very pertinent theme. It needed to be right. So yeah, that's the 392 in a sort of extended elevator pitch.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. That'll do. That's great.
Okay. Was that
Thank you. Yeah, that's really good. So, so each chapter's narrated by a different character, and they're all on the bus, and it's all their perspectives of what's happening and how they observe each other, and you get these kind of glances and gazes and moments of attention and things. So, and you're going to share an extract from the 392, I think, for your first reading this evening. Do you want to say a little bit about where it comes in the novel?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, like you said, every character is deliberately quite different. They're meant to represent the real cross-section of society and all the difference in that. So the rich, the poor, the white, the black, the home dwelling and the homeless. And this particular extract I'm going to read might take us up to maybe 8 or 9 minutes. And it's from a character called Levi. And Levi is a character who is burdened by his past somewhat, but trying to overcome the obstacles of his background and the obstacles of crimes he may have or may not have committed a few years previously, to try and sort of better himself, a bit like us in society, a bit like me, I suppose. Not that I've done anything too dramatic, but I suppose coming from a very humble working class background, trying to aim high. So this is Levi on the bus. He's from North London, but not the area where the 392 is set, so he doesn't know it that well. And he's on his way to the local magistrates court, which is where the end of the route is, in Highbury Corner. And he starts off this chapter by reading this article, which he can't stop reading, even though he should probably let it go. I'm going to read the chapter now.
Great, thank you.
Feral rioters stripped shelves bare in minutes across London in an orgy of looting in the capital. From groceries to clothes to electronics, high streets in Clapham, Hackney, Dalston, Peckham, Woolwich, Lewisham, Enfield, Walthamstow and Tottenham were ransacked. Initially targeting mobile phone shops and sportswear outlets, youths caught up in the thrill of criminality filled their arms with loot and fled into the night. Everything imaginable was stolen. One youth even posed with a large sack of Tesco value basmati rice, proving that items need not be valuable to be targeted by looters. Daily Mail, August 2011. Levi. I don't know why I still do it. Torture myself like this, punish myself this way. Don't know why I still carry it around with me among the files in my satchel. I can't lie. Those summer days were dark days to be a Londoner, days best forgotten. But I can't help reading this same article over and over again. I was lost for a while. I must have asked about a dozen people what bus I needed to get to Highbury Corner from here, but it seemed barely anyone knew their own area. I asked a guy with a camel coat, shiny head and bushy beard, the young Chinese couple, the pretty pair matching skinny black jeans and Stan Smith Adidas trainers, a man with a man bun and denim 3/4 lengths. None of them could help me, not when it came to buses anyway. Some suggested I jump on the overground from Hoxton, but I don't like trains. I'm too scared of getting derailed. I finally found the stop I needed after circling the area for 10 minutes or so, maybe more, and managed to catch this little 392 bus around the corner from New City College, who are, judging by their large purple banner, very proud to have recently been graded good by Ofsted. I overhear people getting on say that this route is new, which probably explains why it's already pretty packed. As I squeeze on through the single set of doors at the front, nodding to the smiling bus driver, black person to black person, I notice a mixture of passengers already sitting, standing, and chatting. I shuffle past a nervous figure with a rucksack slung over one of his shoulders and swing into a free seat. The area is an attractive one. There's no doubt about it. And the council are clearly trying to make it nicer, with building work taking place on every corner. The building site to the left is alive with activity. A swarm of yellow hard hats buzz about, grafters wearing Lonsdale trainers and paint-stained Slazenger tracksuit bottoms yell at each other in harsh Eastern European tones from opposite sides of the site. Considerate contractors' boards and safety on site signs, crushed Tisky cans in back pockets. It's all happening. Foundations have been dug up and relaid. There are pairs of good-looking couples clutching coffees and shiny MacBooks, smiling Colgate grins. They wear Puma hoodies and neon Nikes with skin-tight bottoms that make their legs look fit and firm. As the bus takes a tight right turn and pulls into a bus stop opposite a building marked University of the Arts, London, I notice two cool fashion types, students from that institute presumably, puffing on roll-ups and wearing green loafers and extra long, extra large puffer jackets. A hooded boy walking a staffy and carrying a bulging side bag shuffles through their smoke uneasily. I know what's going on. It's happening in Tottenham too. Tottenham isn't Tottenham anymore. I've seen the new big breweries and the coffee shops as you climb out of Seven Sisters Station. I've clocked the quirky art installations and the proper posh chicken shops that sell real certified chicken they market as healthy. There are new flats everywhere and new types of people moving into the area with their bowl cuts and tortoiseshell glasses. I've seen the hipsters in tie-dye t-shirts taking modelling shots in Markfield Park. Even the football team are getting in on the act of fixing itself up. White Hart Lane doesn't look like it used to. In many ways, I think I'm getting used to the changes I'm seeing daily. I feel safer in my area now than I ever did growing up, and I can't lie, I'm partial to a chai latte from Starbucks every now and then, especially if I'm working on a difficult case and need the sugar to keep me going. But I see this influx of hyper-fashionable millennials, the people who protest about the state of the environment and the academization of local schools and the overdevelopment of the high street, and wonder what will happen to the heart of N17 in, let's say, a decade or two. I dust off my blazer and trousers, straighten up my tie, check the time, and wonder how long this journey will take. I remember watching The Apprentice when I was younger and knowing I wanted to have a job where I could wear the sharpest suits and the nicest shoes. I didn't want to be a businessman on that show, though, because I didn't want to sell raw fish down Ridley Market one week and design a dating app for geriatrics the next. I didn't want to have to say I'm so ruthless I would sell my mum to make a profit, get fired for being a rubbish project manager in the first week, and have to say, thank you for the opportunity, Lord Sugar, watched by millions of viewers. So I decided that that life wasn't for me. I had to think of another career where you could look smart and not look a twat. But man, look at me. Today is the start of a new chapter, and I've got to make the most of it. This is the beginning of a new journey, quite literally, with new people on board, the crazy guy pretending to take pictures, the mixed race girl, the lost looking tourist at the front with the bag on his back, the camera crew, the blonde haired politician at the back, the driver, everyone. At the start of this November day, we might as well try to enjoy the ride. But these nerves, I can't shake them off. As we get closer, the memories come flooding back. It was tense in there that day. Those magistrates weren't in the mood to mess about. They'd presided over similar cases all day. So when it was my time, well, they were probably tired and wanted to get the job done quickly. I could see their mugs of coffee and swollen bags under their eyes. There were 3 of them, one man sandwiched in between 2 old white women. Boy, could that man talk. He went on and on. You are charged with the offence of common theft on the night of Monday, the 8th of August, 2011, he started saying. It is reported that on this night you stole 1 bag of Tesco extra value basmati rice from the Tesco superstore on Tottenham High Street. You then proceeded to post a picture with the stolen goods on your Facebook page with the caption, "I'm gassed, dinner sorted for the next month." You took advantage of a tumultuous time for the city on a difficult and hostile night in the capital. Your actions were deplorable, notably in the aftermath, flaunting your loot on social media. Having heard the case against you by the CPS, we hereby issue you with a community service order of 180 hours and a £200 fine. It is hoped that you can repay the community that you clearly set out to destroy with your unscrupulous actions. And just like that, it seemed all over. The female magistrate chipped in. Do you have a closing statement, sir? Any last thing to say for the record, Mr. Brown? There was a big pause. Well, whatever, innit? All you've done is chat a load of bull to me from the start. But what about Mark Duggan and his family? Where's the proof he was carrying a weapon? What about the officer who shot him? Why is he not here facing charges and made to look like some idiot like I am? What about how then police treat us in Tottenham? Just look at what you're doing to Broadwater. The system is trying to break up our community You can't knock down my home, our homes, your honour, your honours. Why punish me for trying to feed my mum and younger brother? Mr. Brown, the middle magistrate kept trying to interrupt, but the tirade continued. This is meant to be my hearing, but you're not even hearing what I'm trying to say. You lot clearly don't feel our pain. Despite the emotional closing plea, the case was done, finished, ushered out by a member of the court security staff through a set of doors at the back. Back to today. This journey is a bumpy one. We pass a caged tennis court and another block of vulnerable old flats. As we get closer, the memories come flooding back. I still can't quite believe I'm going back there today. Highbury Corner Magistrates Court. Me, Levi Brown, basmati thief to budding barrister.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's really nice to hear Levi. What you know, he's a great character, isn't he? He kind of, like you said, he's got that background that really drives him. That kind of passion from that experience that drives his need to pursue an education and to end up on a different kind of on a different side of the justice system, kind of that idea of representation. And he's one of many young people in the novel. So there's Natalie, who's a young mum. She's on the way to being a young mum. Diamond and Estelle. There's Boxer. Lots of different young characters who all have important things to say. Do you think when, you know, I'm just interested in knowing how far when you were writing, were you drawing on the concerns of young people in particular? Was that a particular focus of what you were looking at?
Yeah, I wouldn't say particular focus, because I don't think I particularly focused on very much when I was writing it. It was very much a general holistic process of trying to do a lot over a very little space, which goes back to my last point, a point from before about it being me calling it a little book, mainly because the fact that this book is about 45,000 words, which is perhaps a little bit under than your average novel. So when I say little, perhaps I just mean little as in like word count novels.
Okay, all right. I'll take that then. Yeah, that's fine.
But in relation to sort of the voices and the feelings and the emotions of young people, I think that comes from my experience being a teacher. You know, I worked in schools from 2012, so more or less straight when I finished my first BA degree until 2018 when I started my PhD. So, you know, I was always around young people, and it's a long time to be hearing their voices, their thoughts, their critiques about society. And because of that, their voices were so strong, I think. I would generally show the classes I taught extracts from my work as starter activities. So I would print out a page or two from my novel in progress, the 392, and sometimes I would say it was me. Sometimes I'll keep it anonymous. After a while, they realised it was me.
Yeah. You can't fool a group of teenagers, Ashley.
No, exactly. Yeah, I soon learnt that. So I would often show them my work, and I would say, "How does this sound?" I would try and mask it in a clever way by giving them comprehension questions or something. But they would soon get the idea that this is my work, and he's trying to get it published. Okay. And yeah, they would say, "I don't think this is right," or "I'm not sure." Someone would say this. I don't think Natalie would say this, or I don't think Boxer would say this. So that on a sort of sentence level took place, but on a sort of more political sense, I think generally I could gauge the tone of how teenagers felt a lot by being in the classroom, by wandering the corridors. But also, my little brother he's 19 now, but for the vast bulk of when I was writing the 392, he would have been 15, 16, 17. So yeah, a combination of both, I think. And that's why I feel, you know, in many ways, the younger characters come through a lot stronger, because I've had that first-hand experience of being with them all the time.
Do you think it's do you think, I don't know if they do. Why do you think they come through as being stronger?
Oh, I don't know. People have said that, but
okay, all right, okay. Anyway, but I just wonder whether it's something to do with the passion of young people. So I was looking earlier on at the report that's just come out, the Commission on Race and Ethnic Disparities report. We've been reading about that today. Yeah. So it mentions that there's been progress in tackling racial inequality, suggesting the well-meaning idealism of many young people who claim the country is still institutionally racist is not borne out by the evidence. So the kind of well-meaning idealism of young people is really interesting, isn't it? Because it's young people whose voices are being disregarded there. And, you know, just to go back to the novel, it's the young people that you centre in very many of the chapters.
Yeah, I mean, I've only skim-read the report, but I'm looking forward to reading that properly, especially in the aftermath of what's happening in Pimlico Academy in South London, in which students have protested against, it seems very sort of draconian, archaic legislation and rules about hair and hijabs. So I'm looking forward to having a proper read of that. But yeah, I do think the younger characters, they do drive this novel. And they really do, especially Boxer and Natalie, because I think there is a sort of love triangle there. And so there's that sort of topical political agenda happening just naturally, but also there's that sort of emotional love triangle, which I think elevates it in so many ways. It is a very complicated triangle with so many different people involved, which makes it even more challenging. But Boxer and Natalie, you know, I think as readers and definitely as a writer, we're sort of willing them for something magic to happen between them. But unfortunately, that might not be the case. But
it's observed, isn't it, as well? I think it's really lovely that because they have this. So should we explain to people who they are? So Natalie is Boxer's brother's baby mother. That's right, isn't it?
Yes, that's right. Yeah, so Boxer is about 15, and his older brother is the partner or former partner of Natalie. So it's all very complicated. But Boxer is quite a lovely boy. You know, he's quite a nice boy and doesn't want to be sort of labelled as a typical black London boy associated with crime and all the other misgivings, and he wants to try and get away from it. He wants to get a nice job and have a nice partner and have that, I suppose, more nuclear sort of structure in his life, whereas his brother seems to be involved in unscrupulous criminal activity.
It's really great when Natalie hears him talking on the bus and she realises it's him, and she kind of comments that he's talking as though he's the big I am type. I think she says he's talking like a roadman, but I know he's not like that.
Yeah.
You know, and they have this moment where they're observed falling in love by one of the other characters, which is really tender. So is there a way that you were kind of, I mean, all subtexts are intentional. I just say that before we go any further with this question. So was there a way that you were combining the political and the personal? You know, you just talked about elevating the content of the novel with that love triangle. How intentional was that?
Do you know what? It was very little. I mean, very little of this novel was intentional. It just felt right. It felt intuitive. It felt like I was writing from the gut. And I think that is epitomized by the fact that I did write this on my phone without, you know, I know so many writers, especially doing the PhD here at UEA, I know so many writers who meticulously plan every chapter. They have Excel spreadsheets and Word tables. You say, this is what's going to happen in the end of chapter 1. This is going to take chapter 2. And don't get me wrong, I completely get that. You know, I do get that, but I'm just not that writer. I write, even book 2, you know, I just write. And whenever I think of lines, I think, okay, oh, that might go there, or that might go there. And I just add it in. So all of the sort of, you know, heavier, greater gravitas themes that comes through the 392 all happened relatively naturally, because what I was doing essentially was critiquing the world around me. I was critiquing locality in the area, but I was also critiquing, you know, my life as a teacher, my life as a football referee, and I was seeing all of these relationships and dynamics that often don't feel right. You know, I felt so sorry for you know, the marginalized working class communities when I was teaching. I felt sorry for you know, some of the teams I refereed. It was twofold. It really was. There were so many of these really uncomfortable dynamics that I was so determined to write about all these injustices, and that manifested into me just vomiting the words out. If you allow me to be so vulgar, I really was.
Yeah. But there's maybe it's the. Do you think there's something about the move? So you were writing it on a bus, writing a novel about a bus on a bus. Is there something about the movement of it then? Actually, I have to say as well that Derek Owusu says there's two types of writers. There's instinctive writers and there's planners. So just to say, that's the discussion that we're having.
I actually did see this. I was watching his interview with yourself a little bit earlier, and I did see this. Yeah.
We are channeling the spirit of Derek Owusu today, which is always a great thing to do. So you're moving the pace of the novel. Was that influenced by how long was your journey? How long was your journey to school?
It was about 40 minutes, but that's something that I'm going to interject it because I think that's really important. That's something I did care about. So I'm not saying, so with the story, I didn't care so much about it. And I think that's what makes me a bit of a literary novelist at the moment, because there's a big argument that literary fiction cares more about the actual writing than the actual story. And my process probably links to that quite nicely, because I didn't care too much about the story. I wanted, just like I said, I was vomiting the words out. I was commenting about the world around me. I was critiquing all these injustices that I witnessed in schools and whatnot. But I did care about the way the words were written. So I did care about sentence structure, and I did care about the poetry of the words, and I did care about repetition and half rhymes, and even the piece I just read, which probably isn't the most overt example of the poetry in the words, but there is some example of that repetition. There is some example of that short sentence and long sentence, and the things that I did with the masterclass earlier this term, which I so care about. There's proper nouns about grounding it somewhere. So I did care about sentence structure, and I did care about craft, linguistic craft, because that is something that I'm really passionate about. Whereas I'm not so terribly passionate necessarily, or I don't think it matters as much, I should say, about the forensic structure of a novel, or forensic structure of a story. I would love, if I've done a bit of teaching in the last few years as part of my PhD, and I'm completely absorbed by good writing. The poetry of prose. I'm really passionate about the poetry of prose.
Yeah.
So that's something that I really care about.
I can hear that. I can hear that even the way that you use brands is very poetic. The way that the brands punctuate is very poetic. And
maybe some of those brands could, I don't know, hire me or as an influencer.
Yes, great product placement in your novels.
Yeah,
it's a good idea. Yeah. We should all be doing it. And I was going to ask you, because there is a teacher, they refer to a teacher, Mr. Harris. Is that you? Diamond refers to her English teacher, teaching her what an oxymoron is. Is that really you, Ashley, appearing in the text?
You know what? There is a Mr. Harris I worked with. So the name, I didn't change the name very much. So Diamond, the character of Diamond on the 392, who's got her own 2 chapters in the book, is loosely based on the student called Diamond. The name more than anything, more than the actual quality of her character. But Mr. Cook is in there. Mr. Cook is someone I worked with. I wasn't very inventive with the names, to be honest. I literally just went, who do I work with? So I think any friends or colleagues that I know now have to be very careful, because they might find themselves in book 2, 3 or 4. So.
Well, yeah, as a poet, people have stopped talking to me in case they end up in a poem. So there you go. I feel your pain. So we're going to have a couple of questions now from 2 of our friends of WRAP, two members of the student community. So the first is Zach. He has got a question from you. He is going to introduce himself as well, I think. So we'll just wait for that to cue
Hi,
up.
Ashley. My name is Zach, and I'm a second-year student at Nottingham Trent University studying media production. My question to you is, how do you feel about your books being adapted by producers and directors? I know it can be a really difficult and heartbreaking thing to have to sell your rights to directors and producers for adaptations. So I was just kind of wondering, are you okay with that? How do you think it'll turn out eventually? And do you think you will be able to accept whatever creative changes are being made between the book and when it's adapted onto the big screen? Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I love Zach. Obviously, I met Zach a few times at the masterclass and the WRAP.
He's great.
Yeah, it's a very good question. Yeah, it's really interesting. When I was writing the 392, I think most writers, when they're working towards their first piece, whether it be a poetry collection or novel or novella or short, whatever it is, you don't think beyond just that piece. You know, when I was writing the 392, I didn't think about TV or audiobook or whatever. I just thought, I just want to get the book done. That's the most important thing. So the fact there's been a little bit of interest and ongoing talks, like there are with quite a number of books actually, but it's very exciting. There's no doubt about it. And obviously you start wondering about, I wonder what it would look like on the screen. I wonder who would play who. And but I haven't let that possibility go too far often because it's such a murky world of TV and film is such a murky world. I don't try to think too far about it. But if it came to it, and there is a possibility that it might, I'm quite happy to give the producers free rein. To be honest, I'd obviously quite like to have a final say, but to be honest, I'm just so delighted that it's a book first and foremost. I really wanted this to be a book. It's fiction and is something that I'm passionate about, and as an English teacher, as someone who has an English degree and did an MA in creative writing, literature is my main love. So the fact that this is a book is the most important thing. If it does go into become a TV series or a film, whatever, that is absolutely wonderful. And there's so much that could be done with it. I don't think I'd want to get involved. I was once asked whether I would be interested in, not for this particular project with the 392, but doing a bit of screenwriting. And I couldn't think of anything harder, honestly. It's just not for me, I don't think. It's like writing constant dialogue, isn't it? And I suppose that's just not for me. I like I said, I'm all about the poetry of the lines and the linguistic features that happen in line by line, and it's just not for me, I don't think. But yeah, if the 392 became a TV series, I'd be really chuffed with it, and really pleased with the process, I suppose. But with your show, which is my second novel, I did write that with a little bit more thought about how it might look as a film, and I don't think, it was a mixture of that sort of egotistical feeling about, I wonder what it'd be like as a film, but also your show is quite strongly based on the sort of similar structure of The Damned United by David Peace. Great. And that was a very good adaptation, I thought. I mean, no adaptations are perfect because it's quite hard to get a whole book as a film, but I thought that was a very good adaptation as adaptations go. So as I was writing your show, I was kind of thinking it as a sort of Tom Hooper, who was a director. He also directed The King's Speech and a few other fantastic films, Damned United. I was kind of thinking of it as a film, I'm not going to lie. So I do hope that maybe down the years, and these things take years, they really do. It could be a good 3-4 years before a book might turn into a TV series or film, or maybe longer, especially with coronavirus and whatnot. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and maybe because we're going to talk about it in the second half, aren't we? So we're going to talk about the way that the novel's based on the life of Uriah Rennie.
That's right, yeah.
First black Premiership football referee. Yeah. But didn't you say you were talking to CBBC about the novel, or am I not allowed to say that in public? I just said it.
I don't think I mentioned CBBC, but that'd be great. There is one thing, I've always wanted to be a CBBC presenter, so maybe that was...
Me too, but I'm too old now. Anyway. Thank you very much for that answer. And we're going to hear from Victoria, who's one of our WRAP lead writers now. She has got a question as well.
Hi Ashley, I loved reading the 392. I read it in transit between London and Nottingham, so on the tube, on the train. And my question is about journeys and points of connection. I'm fascinated by how you manage to capture the way that lives overlap and that time collides. And I wonder if you could talk us through your process of capturing the same moment from different perspectives. Thank you.
Are you just going to say vomiting now?
Yeah, I'm gonna say vomiting. No joke. No, you know, it was such a relief to have this process of writing the same event 11 times, because it felt like, oh, that's easy, just copy and paste. No, it really wasn't like that. No, it was a really fun experience. I love things which are told from different perspectives about the same sort of event, and seeing it from different perspectives. I mean, I can name many TV examples and also probably a few book examples as well, but it gives you a sort of a different perspective, doesn't it? A different flavor of what happened, and it gives you that, you know, you're putting your feet in different shoes, and you can empathize with how they might be feeling or how they see it. So yeah, no, it was a very, very beneficial experience writing from different perspectives to try and get some sort of panoramic panopticon view of this man. What is his agenda? What is he doing? Where is he going? Obviously, the essence of this book was that we shouldn't judge people, and I think his actions at the end hopefully enforce that idea that, you know, just because people look different to us, we shouldn't be quick to judge them. So yeah, no, it was actually a really fun experience. It was really great, and yeah, I could copy and paste a bit of the dialogue, which was always great, but having it from a different point of view, I thought was fun.
Yeah, but a lot to keep hold of as well. A lot to. Did you have a small diagram of where everybody was sitting on the bus?
I did do that, yes. So I printed out a little sort of bird's eye view of the bus, the seats, and I put everyone where everyone was sitting. It'd be interesting to know whether I would have done that activity if I wasn't made to do that activity as part of my MA. So I did an MA in creative writing. So when I was teaching, I did an evening course. So a couple of days a week at City University London, and very early on, I told them about the project, and yeah, I was made to do quite a few activities, and that was one of them actually. So I did a printout of the layout of the bus, of the man standing at the front, and did different people to make sure that
how he would look from different angles.
Exactly, exactly that. Yeah.
Really interesting.
What was also really interesting is that the course was in the evening, and I would write a lot of the homework we had to do every week on my way back from the evening course on the way home. So it was one bus called the 153, which goes from Barbican to Holloway, and I lived in Holloway, and the university is near Barbican. And I would get on the bus and I would do my homework for the week on that bus journey back home. And it was great because I was observing the bus, you know, the stickers which says passengers must not stand beyond this point. You're not allowed to stand there close to the driver to distract the driver, and the wheelchair access and the pram access and all that sort of thing. So yeah, it was on the button, you know. I would write it as it happened on the bus.
Yeah, it's fantastic. That's a really good idea, isn't it? Making a model. You should make a physical model and have it in the Ashley Hickson-Lovence archive in the future. Have a little exhibition at UEA. That'd be great.
I think maybe there might be.
I'm sure there will.
Yeah.
So thank you very much. I should remind people watching at home that they also have the opportunity to ask questions of Ashley and to pop those in the chat. If you want to, we've got a slot at the end of the second half for that. Thank you very much, Ashley, for that fantastic discussion about the 392, and I've still got endless questions here on my list that we didn't get round to, but maybe we will later. But anyway, we're going to move into this move into the end of this first half of the evening's event with a special screening of a very short animated film produced as a collaboration between the AHRC-funded Cross Lines project and Compass Collective, who are a non-profit theatre company working with people seeking sanctuary. So using the motif of voicemail, Nottingham Creative Writing Hub member and project lead Dr Sarah Jackson and the young people worked together to write and perform a series of messages exploring loss, resilience and hope. So it's a pleasure to be able to share their work here, and the link, the Compass Collective, will appear in the chat if you want to find out more, which I guarantee you will. So I want to give a shout out to Najwa, Salma, Musharraf, Ramin, Dilaki, Aidan, Frank, Asio, Ali and Masi, and introduce you to Calling Across Borders. Thank you.
Leave your message after the tone.
Hello friend, it's Sama. This message is for you.
Hi Mom.
Hello Alice.
It's me.
It's Mika.
Hello.
Hello future self.
It's Najwa.
It's Masi.
Hi Madam Christine.
Hello Mom.
Hello.
It's Frank here.
I'm calling you just to ask you how you are. I'm not having the best time right now. Only a small year, but look at our world. Do you remember when in the childhood days we wanted a one-way ticket to the where there is no sadness and grief?
It's been so long since you left. The memory of that day still hurts like a fresh wound. I feel your absence every day. I feel the melody of your voice. Its rhythms guide me through all the paths of my life. I'm still proud of the time we shared, the night talks, and even the times you punished me. I'm trying to be a spark like you used to say. I'm trying to be selfless, which has shown me how lucky I am to be your grandson.
Hello, this is Ramin. I have a message to all the presidents who are able to bring peace.
I'm here to talk to you about something sad but very important.
I am a young man who speaks to you on behalf of all young people.
Don't you think breathing is getting hard? This isn't because of the masks we are wearing. We are literally killing our planet.
People are trying to join hands in order to build a peaceful country.
We would like to live in our own country, but we cannot live in our own country.
Please look after our planet.
Your vision is your future. We will work hard to prove it to you.
Please look back.
You're probably wondering why I left you this voicemail. I just want to let you know how you inspire me as a black woman. You stood for what you believed in without wavering. I mean, who wouldn't love you?
You are my best friend. You are my sister.
The one I call love endlessly.
I call you sweetheart.
I will try to be at least half the friend to you that you are to me.
Finally, my heart is full of so much love.
I would not to be the person I am today without you.
I want to tell you about my travel around the world. I have been to many places, but I'm still want to tell you that you are the best person in the world.
You're 55 years old and back to where you belong, Afghanistan.
You live in the countryside and you have a small garden.
You're home now, and I know how relaxed you're feeling.
I wanted to tell you that I'm so proud of you.
Your heart was torn apart in the search for peace, but we did it.
I hope you're smiling now.
How beautiful it is to spend the night walking in the city and see the sunrise in the morning.
And just in case nobody over the last year has told you, you're amazing.
I'm so proud that we made it. Alhamdulillah.
And one day you will get the life you deserve.
Good luck, Mama.
You are the best person in the world.
Take care of yourself.
Keep safe. Hugs and kisses to everyone.
Love you so much.
So thank you to Sarah and the young people for letting us share that film with you. So it's time for a break now. You've got time to get the kettle on, Get your cup of tea, get your cup of coffee, maybe something stronger if you're celebrating the end of this long year of shielding, perhaps if you're in that situation. So we're going to have 5 minutes and then we'll be back with part 2 and more about Ashley and football, and also a reading from one of our fabulous creative writing students. So see you in 5 minutes. Bye. Hi, and welcome back to WRAP Live with Ashley Hickson-Lovence. My name is Becky Cullen. I'm hosting this evening. This event co-hosted by Nottingham Creative Writing Hub and Nottingham and Trent University's curated and created programme. So in the first half of this evening, we heard from the wonderful Ashley Hickson-Lovence, and we talked about his book, The 392. And we also saw a film by Compass Collective through the Calling Across Borders project. And we're now moving on to talk about Ashley's novel in progress that he's writing as part of his PhD at the University of East Anglia. So I'd like to welcome back Ashley Hickson-Lovence. Are you there?
I'm back.
Oh,
Hello.
fantastic. Did you enjoy the film?
It was really good, yeah. It was really moving in so many ways. The combination of the visuals and obviously the audio worked really, really well, and yeah, really great.
Yeah, they're great voicemails. Anyway, okay. So Ashley, we have spent quite a lot of time together now.
We have,
and about 3/4 of the way through, we discovered a fact that could have really ruined our working relationship, because I come from a home of Manchester City supporters, whereas you are a Manchester United fan.
Yeah.
So my next question is, with that in mind, what do you think about Sergio Aguero's record of scoring a goal every 118 minutes? No, that's not the question.
It's not.
No. But seriously, putting that to one side, that kind of rivalry, your current project is to do with partly inspired by your love of football, and it's about Uriah Rennie. So tell us a bit about the book and what inspired you and who Uriah Rennie is, and is this a novel or is it a biography? Over to you.
Yeah, well, it's definitely a novel, and I hope it's a book not just for football fans in so many ways. I worked hard, very hard, to try and make this a novel for everybody. So I wrote the first draft of this and I finished it May 2020, so last summer essentially. And it was a very football novel back then. Even my agent said it. She was like, I think this is it's quite a lot of football here, and she's not a massive football fan herself. So since then, every draft I've done, I've tried to sort of cut down the football bits of it to try and focus more about this man who I think is an inspiration in so many ways. He was born in Jamaica in the late 50s, and he came to Sheffield in the early 70s, and he refereed his first game in the late 70s as a sort of young man. And I think his journey from being brought up in rural Jamaica to then moving to a very rough part of Sheffield, and then refereeing his first game as a young man in the end of the 1970s would have been such a difficult journey for him in so many ways. And I was just inspired by his journey, especially because he ended up becoming the only black football referee to referee in the Premier League. And his first game in the Premier League was 1997. And he was there, apart from 1 year off, he was there until 2008. And, you know, considering football is such a diverse game, especially in the top level, you know, I think more or less half of the English team at the moment is either black or mixed race. And the fact that there's only been one referee in the Premier League, even now, and he retired in 2008, and there still isn't a black referee in the Premier League, which I think is really shocking, to be honest. And I was just been so inspired by his way to the top. I had to say way there because I've been saying journey too much.
No, that's fine.
It's so easy to say journey.
Journeys, that's fine.
Yeah, it's a really great. I mean, it's a really great story. Not necessarily my novel, but his story from Jamaica to Sheffield to the Premier League is really inspirational in so many ways. He would have experienced so much abuse, not only because he's a referee, but also because he's a black referee. And the novel details that. So the novel is a fictionalization of his life and career, and it talks about some of the bigger games he'd done. So it's not a sort of, sort of detailed autobiographical cradle to death type autobiography. It focuses on key moments.
Okay, in his career.
Yeah, in his career, exactly. Yeah.
So that's really interesting. So what was his route in? Like, how did he start off with an interest in football, and then did he show leadership in other ways, or was it, as a young man, was it just football refereeing that was his passion? How did he end up there?
He loves sports. Ever since Jamaica, he loved sports. So he loved cricket, mainly in Jamaica. Came over to England and played every sport going, rounders, cricket, athletics, football, and then he was a football coach, I believe, in his teens, and decided to qualify as a referee, mainly because it would help cover the insurance of his football group that he was coaching. So he sort of just fell into it, really, and then sort of took it from there, made his way up through the ranks. And it's really hard, I know from experience, because I used to be a referee. I used to referee at semi-professional level myself. It's actually really hard to get through the levels. You need to be in the top 3 or 4% of every level that you are among the referees to get promoted to the next step. So he would have been within the sort of top 3% of every level that he was. So from park football, it's the local park, to semi-professional grounds, to the National League or conference, and then to the Football League, and then to the Premier League. He would have had to been the best. And people forget that, I think, because, in some quarters of the football fandom, Uriah Rennie has a bit of a bad name, I suppose, in some ways, but he did so well to get to the top and do the games that he did. He really was. He was known for being really fit. He was a magistrate outside of football. He worked in leisure centres, so was really, took a lot of care in his fitness and strength. And he was a really great figure in so many ways. And even after he retired, he continued to do so much for the Sheffield and Yorkshire community. So yeah, he's an inspiration in so many ways. And when I was refereeing, he was the only black face I saw. And I think whenever you're doing something, you need to see black figures who are higher than you, so you can aspire to be like them. And Uriah Rennie was that figure to me.
Yeah, that's why we need the film.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, fingers crossed, eh? Fingers crossed. Tom Hooper, are you watching?
Yeah, that's right, yeah. Yeah, Steven Spielberg, are you watching?
Yeah, exactly, Steven Spielberg. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So is that what the title is about then? Is it running the show? Is that where the title Your Show comes from?
It comes into place on so many occasions, actually. So the there it is moment, which is what I call, so whenever I watch a film or a TV show or even read a book and they mention the title, I go, there it is. So the other day I was watching Line of Duty, which I think everybody in the nation's watching Line of Duty, and they said, oh, he died in the Line of Duty, and I always go, there it is.
There it is.
Yeah, so the words Your Show actually mentioned a few times because it comes from a few places. So if you were to Google Uriah Rennie, there is this really sort of weird moment in which he came back from the second half of a game. He walked out of the tunnel and he walked out. It was Preston against Crystal Palace. And the tannoy person said, welcome back to the second half of the Uriah Rennie show, which is quite derogatory. It's quite like, oh, this game is all about him, not necessarily about the two teams. So Your Show is about taking ownership of that incident, but also ownership of the situation of being a referee. Yeah, you may see it as about the two teams, and obviously it is about the two teams, but it's also about yourself and taking ownership and agency of the situation, making big decisions, making big calls in front of ferocious crowds. So Your Show is about so many things. And then also after he retired, he did a show called Freeze Out, which was an ITV show. So it's about, the element of TV comes into it at the very beginning.
Yeah, really interesting. So that idea of performing on that stage as well,
Exactly.
isn't there? Yeah,
Exactly.
Really brilliant. Now, I can't remember whether you said you were reading from Your Show for your second
reading. I read a very short bit. So it's not going to be about 5 minutes, if that's okay.
Yes, a perfect link. Thank you, Ashley.
Yeah. So this is from Your Show. It's coming out next year with Faber. And this section is a young Uriah Rennie, going for a run in his local area in Sheffield. Quick run around the block. Fitness is key. Head starting to feel light already, only a mile deep. You keep your head down, eyes to the floor, skip over dog shit. You're leaning a little to the left, swaying to the edge of the curb. Spirits are high in the city because it's the Queen's Silver Jubilee. In every window and shop front and little kids' faces, red, white and blue. There ain't no black in the Union Jack. Street parties have been planned, sausage rolls and pork pies and cups of tea using the fine china for the adults and polystyrene ones for the kids. In the backdrop, like a headache, the forge from the steel factory pounding. The lava orange sparks are blinding even with masks on. Through the eruption, what the metal will become is not yet clear. Sheffield steel, 1,000 types, bent and moulded with gloved, dirt black hands. High-grade steel of the highest degree of purity, bent and moulded in fire-red furnaces. Turn into Norfolk Park, jog through the gates, spot a tramp sitting on the bench up ahead. He looks at you all rough as you run past. The cheap cider got him feeling woozy. Oi, you lad. You an owl or a blade? You don't respond. It ain't Derby Day. He doesn't need to know. You're fluent in football. You play football. You coach football. You play away games and come back to home-cooked meals bunged in the oven to keep warm, and George Best is drinking again, and Clyde Best don't play for West Ham no more, and everyone's already getting excited for the World Cup next year down in Argentina. The boundaries of Bramall Lane have been pushed in. The cricket has gone. Football is king. Round here, football is life. Football means freedom. Football means keepy uppies to 100. A bent crossbar drawn on alleyway walls with heavy-handed white paint. Shirts versus skins till sunset. 5-a-side, Wembley. 2 in net till tea time. Your dad's like cricket and Viv Richards, but this ain't Jamaica no more. None of you support Liverpool, but you all chant you'll never walk alone when you win. If this is the Commonwealth dream, somebody wake us up already. You heard an uncle say at the 56 bus stop. Don't think about running. You're trying not to think about running, but you can't stop thinking about running. East Bank Road, building works, you're coughing up the dust. You see the claw of the dagger curled like a cat's paw, nudging old chimneys over. Most of the rabbit hutch, pebble dash houses have been condemned. And there's that lad you know, lives on the manor like enemy territory. Saw him the other day in Woolies. You run faster, work muscles harder. Thighs and groins and hamstrings, you have a sweaty belly. Your feet creep in and out of view beneath you, right one then left. Your thumbs are sticking up and you're not sure why. Your fists are clenched and you're not sure why. Why is he looking at you like that? You ain't no nignog. This ain't love thy neighbour. You're not Rudolph Walker's lad. KBW painted over with the wrong coloured paint. You drink the wind up like it's water. It's nice but not so fresh. Really running you are now. Each step feeling a little too heavy. The surface underfoot tough. Bits of brick from the building site have rolled onto the pavement. Rocks and rubble. Men with hard hats who read the sun and smoke B&H till the morning haze blows over. But it won't. Your legs know a route past the grumpy shopkeeper. This ain't Belfast, but the headline today is about some trouble in Northern Ireland. You wouldn't want to live there. There's always trouble in Northern Ireland. Running helps you forget what you do not yet understand. You're a young black man hoping a change is gonna come. Not just for you, but for the people of the city who are worried about their jobs, worried about the future, but remain through it all ever hopeful. Not everyone around here is fleecing a living. People do what they need to do to get by, to put fritters or fish fingers on the table on a Friday. Salt of the earth people who would give you their last pound and a penny to survive another day. And being black amidst all this uncertainty is a struggle sometimes. You have to work twice as hard just to be seen. That on top of everyday slum dwelling makes it hard to keep calm and carry on a day to day in a tough place like the Wyburn. After years of scrimping and saving to earn their daily bread, squirreling away enough money to survive from a Sunday to a Sunday, everyone just wants their time in the sun, riding pedalos in Millhouse's Park, or having a picnic on the green with 99 ice creams and flakes and a bunch of fresh bananas from Bullbrocks, and bottles of Hendo's and Lucozade in orange wrappers to make them feel better when they are poorly. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashley. I think I should get, I'm sitting in this theatre and there's nobody here. It's just, I mean, there's the three technical people in boxes at the top. I can just see their heads, they're waving to me. And then there's all these empty seats. So I can't, and you're there. So I'm just going to go, way.
I really feel it. I do feel it. I mean, it's the best we can do in this current situation. So
yeah, and I have had some emoji love as well for you through my telephone, through my telephonic device.
Oh, that's good.
You know, lots of people saying how great you are.
I put mine on airplane mode because I don't want it to be overwhelmed by all the sort of positive reactions, of course.
Well, yeah, that will happen. Your phone will be ringing off the hook.
So
you're buzzing away.
Absolutely.
It's really interesting that the kind of poetic nature of what, it feels really poetic, that extract that you've read for us. And I know you started off writing sonnets about buses, didn't you?
I did, yeah.
Yeah. 50, was it 50? 50 sonnets about bus journeys. Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah.
But I, obviously you're doing this PhD in creative writing. First of all, how is that possible? What is a PhD in creative writing, I suppose? And how is it helping you write this novel? Is that what you do? You finish your novel and send it off, and that's the thing? How does it work?
It's a good question, because I do get asked this quite a lot, especially from people who are doing an MA or maybe thinking about doing a PhD and want to know what it's all about. So I never really envisioned that I would be doing a PhD in creative writing or PhD in anything really a few years ago. I was doing my MA and I really enjoyed, I think that was the stage when I really enjoyed the sort of composition and craft of creative writing. Whereas before I never really paid much attention. I was reading a book for, reading its sake. But when I was doing my MA and, I really enjoyed my MA, I started to care about the craft and composition, but also the sort of thematic result of what I was reading and writing. So I did the MA and I managed to get a decent result, and I thought, you know what, I want to take this a little bit more. So it was actually a full year before I decided to do a PhD after the MA. I didn't do it straight away. So I finished the MA in 2017. And then after I got my results, I thought, you know what, I'm interested in this project. I also had the book about Uriah Rennie in mind. I hadn't started it at all, had no link. I had his email address and that was it. So I had a project, I had a creative project, that was one thing. And I also had the passion for creative writing. So I thought maybe I should take this to the next level. So I started applying to universities all over the country, from Royal Holloway to Lincoln to East Anglia. And, when you are applying for a PhD, especially, any PhD, you need to look for your supervisors. That's the most important thing. So I managed to get a really lovely duo of supervisors at UEA quite late on, sort of December 2017, January 2018 is when I started. I found my pair of supervisors, and then I got into the course at UEA. And essentially the critical and creative writing PhD is a novel of roughly about 80,000 words, and a critical essay of roughly 20,000 words. And the critical essay has the relationship with the novel is the fact that it's linked thematically or linked in some way, but not necessarily a straight up commentary of your work. It takes it to the next level, I suppose.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's
robust.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it needs to be robust. Yeah, which is quite tough at the moment because, writing a critical essay is quite tough. All the sort of referencing and whatnot. So I finished the novel. The novel is more or less done. It's going through sort of very minor tweaks here and there, but it's more or less done. So that would be the creative part of my essay, and the critical part will be a critical essay, which I'm looking at the depiction of Black footballers in their autobiographies.
Oh, really interesting. Do you think you'll extend that to a broader, like a full-length study?
I really want to.
Doing
Yes,
that?
I really want to. Maybe approach Routledge or something, because I think what I'm looking at only scratches the surface, and I think that's the case with most PhDs, to be honest, but especially mine, because it's only sort of 25,000 words. I'm looking at how the relationship between the Black footballers and the people who write their stories, they're white, the ghostwriters are often white journalists, and there's often a discrepancy there which makes for quite uncomfortable reading. And I feel like I'm only scratching the surface with my 25,000 word essay. So that is something that I would love to do in the future, absolutely, extend it and write more and make it more accessible to the wider public, absolutely.
Sounds brilliant, and I can't wait to read it. When is your show out?
So your show will be out in spring 2022 with Faber, but I'm hoping to finish the PhD by the end of this year, so the end of 2021, fingers crossed.
Okay, great. Dates for our diary.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you very much. So I know that because of your former life as a teacher, and also because I know that you do some work in with excluded kids from schools. Yeah. So I know that you believe that reading and writing changes the world. But I want to introduce you in this support slot. Want to introduce everybody actually to John Lewell, who is a first-year student on NTU's BA in Creative Writing. And his passion for writing is underpinned by wanting to have a solid academic foundation for his craft. He is a keen participant in our WRAP sessions, and here he's going to share poems that he's written during the pandemic. And he says when he's a best-selling novelist, you'll be able to say that you heard him here first, or perhaps I'm putting those words in his mouth. Anyway, so I'd like to introduce you to John Lewell.
12 months. This is us on pause. Reflect, dissect the narrative, the discourse. Been a tough 12 months, ain't it? Starry, starry night from a madman painted. Through suffering genius takes its place creating. The world slipped on ice, I've been skating. My missus is a carer, a weight bearer. People rest on her shoulders for £9 an hour. Ungrateful dementia forgets all she's done. Ungrateful gaffer don't care what she's done. Above, beyond, round sides below, she rises to underpaid challenge where others sink low. In love with every single resident, she treats each as her own. Dries their tears, hears their sobs as they cry for their home. They hold her hand and they touch her face while they search for embrace. Their family's unable to enter this place. Glass windows might as well be concrete. PVC doors, still shutters. We've not locked you down to keep you in, she tells them. It's to keep him out. He comes in anyway, sends blood from her lungs, puts her in COVID ward for all she has done. My missus is a carer. She's lost 10 people she loved. My missus is a carer. Parcel. A parcel just teleported in my living room from Amazon. Instant delivery of a Wuhan pathogen. I fell down a rabbit hole with a girl named Alison. Took a blue pill, now the world's an Amazon. A friend request arrived on my Facebook profile. It's an old friend from school I ain't seen in a while. It's not a con man, a scam or a paedophile, because there's a picture of my friend on his Facebook profile. Donald just posted on his Twitter account. He should have won the election. They were fixing the count. I'm going to get my gun from the wall off the mount. Defend the integrity of Donald's Twitter account. I saw a handsome bronze person on Instagram. Decided I'm an ugly, pale, fat, despicable man. Gonna get a hair implant, a six-pack and a can of spray tan. Look like the man from Instagram. I went to Match.com to find my perfect match. A Russian bot, she's quite the catch. Her name is Putin, there's no strings attached. Divine intervention found my perfect match. Received an email. The earth is flat, the moon is square, the queen's a cat. Vaccinations are mind control, brown-eyed women eat your soul. The east is bad, the west is good, stop global warming by burning wood. Space is a mirror, the sky is pink. You're gonna die, your shit don't stink. I have been reduced to an algorithm. A binary code makes my every decision. A blue screen of light refracted through prism. Hail my new god, the algorithm. A tear falls in a vacuum. On the silent walls, where air rests calm, like poppies stood on coarse rut ground, did we really lose so much of ourselves? A tear falls in a vacuum. Lonely death from life of loving crowds, carer present, unfamiliar voice sounds. The living search in parks for themselves, while a tear falls in the vacuum. Schools like summer through frozen winter, their mountain water rushes youth in. They must flower on top of grave, as a tear falls in the vacuum. High streets in death, scream pandemic, windows condensate last year's design. I click, I collect, I breathe a sigh, a tear falls in the vacuum. Beneath the mask, a face is hidden, which only bearer knows its lips. If smile concealed, eyes must shine, a tear falls in the vacuum. Celebrate, release chains of nature's wrath. Take your lover in your arms and dance, yes dance. Sing to your child the silliest of songs. Breathe the gift of air, lest we forget the tears that fell in the vacuum when no one witnessed there.
Thank you, John. John often joins with different coloured guitars behind him on his wall. So that was a reading from John and his black guitar on this occasion. So yeah, thank you very much, John, for that. And we're going to move into the section of the evening where we ask Ashley questions from our audience. Hello, Ashley, are you there? Come in, Ashley. Are you receiving me?
Receiving you loud and clear, Becky. Over.
Over. Over. Did you, what did you think of the poems?
Oh, yeah, great. I mean, again, John is someone that I've got to know quite well over the last few events and stuff. And he has such a, you know, sort of prominent voice. I think it's brilliant. I used to teach the GCSE poetry anthology, and I could definitely see that as a piece that we analyse over and over again. I think he's so talented, and there's so much sort of passion and power in his words. Yeah. And I love the way that he just walked out at the end. It's like, drop the mic.
I know.
Done.
Great, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Loved it.
Born in a vacuum, I'm off.
Yeah, exactly. Right, what's for tea? All right.
Yeah, it's very good. So I have a question here as promised, and it's from David Rank. And he would like to know how you feel your style and process has changed between writing the 392 and writing your show.
Yeah, that's an extremely good question. And I would say that it's developed quite a bit, I think. So the section that I read from your show is a very deliberate, poetic section. A lot of the other chapters are more sort of narrative driven, in which it sort of pushes the story along, but this particular chapter, in which he's going for a run around his local area, has a very similar-ish style to a chapter or two from the 392. More generally, I think I think writing is, you know, it is this journey, and I feel like the 392 was the first step on that, and then your show is the next step. I do take a lot more care with how I want things to sound and look, to be honest. So, yeah, is it a departure? It's a departure of sorts, but it's a evolution, I think, more than anything.
Progression.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a journey, Ashley. That's what
journey.
it is.
I don't know what. I don't even care. I'm going to say journey. I'm going to keep saying it. I don't care.
Okay, great.
It's a journey. I think it's definitely it's taking it to the next level. In so many ways, narrative sense, because I mean, like the 392 spans 36 minutes, your show spans 40 odd years.
Yeah.
So it's a bigger project. You know, the 392 was 45,000 words. Your show is about 66,000 words. So this is a bigger project in every sense of the word. And I think a lot of writing is like that. You know, it's you do your first project and then you try and push yourself for even bigger and better things for the second project. And I want to push myself for bigger and better things every project that I do. I want to get a better writer every single time, because I think the 392, I mean, there are imperfections in there, but that's great, because the book is, you're allowed to be a little bit more rough and ready with the 392 because it's sort of a rough and ready book. And with your show, I've taken it to the next level.
Do you know what's next? Have you got the idea for your third
I've got an
book
idea,
yet?
yeah. I've got an idea, yeah.
Okay, I won't ask you to share it. I'm just interested in knowing. Because there's that thing about talking it out before it's done, isn't there? We don't want to do that.
That makes a lot of sense, actually. I think that's important.
Yeah. Phil Burr says, do you prefer handwriting or typing?
Oh, I absolutely hate handwriting. I have the most...
Really?
Yeah, my handwriting is like this really loopy, key stage free, like love hearts above the eye type handwriting.
You put love hearts above the eye?
No, but it's the only thing that's missing from my handwriting. I feel so embarrassed about, so when the 392 came out in April 2019, the hardback, and I was so nervous about the idea of signing the books and dating the books, because I felt like my handwriting was just not like illegible. That's not the issue. It was just a bit too unwriterly, you know, it was a bit too girly. And whereas I think as a writer, you should have really sort of beautiful cursive.
Flamboyant. Oh, beautiful cursive, yeah.
Yeah, whereas I've got really sort of, it's too clear. You know, I write like really clear.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah, so...
You need to practice your illegibility.
I do, yeah. Sometimes I have tried to be a bit tough. Yeah, exactly. No, to be honest, all my writing, even with your show, a lot of it takes place on my phone. So with your show, it was a little bit different to 392. I did most of it on my Mac, but when I do think of sentences, or when I do have a sort of writing burst, I did do it on my phone first and then add it onto my computer. So
it's digital notebook.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I think everybody should do it. If everybody who wants to write, I think keep your phone close to you. And that's why I don't really mind when I shouldn't say this, but when my students had their phone out or stuff like that, because I think even being on blooming social media is a type of writing, isn't it? When
it is, yeah.
The ability to tweet and Instagram, long posts and long captions, that is creative writing. There's nothing wrong with it.
And it's targeted and focused and has a purpose and an audience.
Exactly. Oh my! It's harder now because, like you said, you do have like 1,000 followers, so you've got to be careful what you write. So I think it is a type of creative writing. I really do. I think it's great.
I completely agree with you. We should write a novel in text messages.
Okay, you start and send it to me. And
all right, no problem. We'll all do it. We'll all do it. Okay, brilliant. We've got 3 minutes left, Ashley. How should we fill them? Perhaps you'd like to do a small expressive dance for us or sing us something. No, I'm only joking. Definitely. But I thought I would say a very big thank you to you for all of your contributions to our WRAP programme this term. It's been an absolute delight to have you. I know that so many people got such a lot out of the writing masterclass. And we've run our short story competition, which we're judging at the moment. So we're in the middle of reading about 45 short stories, all set on buses, in homage to you and your wonderful book, The 392. So thank you very much indeed for inspiring us over the past term.
I just want to say a huge thank you, honestly. I feel so privileged that you gave out, you have to remind me of the number. How many did you give out again?
Over 250 now, I think.
Over 250 copies of the 392. It means so much to me, honestly. It's yeah, cheers.
It's a secret code.
Yeah, exactly, cheers. Yeah, I feel like do you know what? I don't go to Nottingham Trent, but I feel part of the community wholesomely. I really do. I've made good friends in Zach and Justina and John and yourself, and I can't wait to visit you in person and give you a hug when it's allowed to do so, because I just felt so welcomed, You know, I've had messages saying people have related to the 392, and I really hope, you know, this is a story more than just about a London bus journey. This is a story about human beings. This is a story about judgment. This is a story which I think, even 2 years after it's been released, I think it's still topical. Reports that came out today,
definitely.
You know, it shows that this is, you know, the messages are very current, and I hope it resonates with a lot more people still.
I'm sure it will, Ashley, and thank you so much for joining us this evening. It's been really lovely to spend some more time with you, and to ask you some questions and to tease you about Manchester United was a pleasure as well.
Yeah. You know what? Aguero is a fantastic striker, I must say that.
Yeah, he is,
I don't like him for the fact that he scored that goal against QPR, which meant Man United didn't win the league. So.
Well, never mind.
Yeah. But Becky, huge thanks to you as well. I mean, we've been in contact a lot in the last few months, and yeah, so much love, so much love.
All right, well, thank you, and we look forward to seeing you in person for a big, a big party.
I'll be back. I'm telling you now, I'll be back. I'll be there.
Excellent. We'll hold you to that. Well, thank you very much, Ashley.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So that is the end of our evening. Thank you very much to all of you for joining us. We hope to see you again at our next WRAP Live event, and have a wonderful rest of your evening. Thanks, everybody. Keep safe and take care. Bye.